Hello everyone, welcome to our third webinar in our Misbehaviour or Misunderstood webinar series. I'm Nicola McDonald, Animal Welfare Operations Officer at Companion Animals New Zealand, and we're thrilled to have you with us tonight. If you've been with us from the beginning, you've had the chance to participate in some fantastic webinars so far. We've covered topics ranging from understanding frustration and aggression in dogs, to recognizing signs of pain and different types of pain in companion animals. We've also emphasized the importance of teamwork between guardians and professionals in addressing these issues. Our webinar series draws on the expertise of some of our most skilled behaviour professionals in New Zealand, all of whom are CANS accredited. So what does CANS accreditation entail? In New Zealand, the animal behaviour industry is unregulated, allowing anyone to claim the title of animal behaviour professional regardless of their qualifications or methods used. So while we have many skilled professionals in New Zealand, there are some that may be inexperienced or use harmful, outdated methods. And CANS accreditation addresses this issue by accrediting organisations whose training standards are aligned with ours. These organisations include the Association of Professional Dog Trainers in New Zealand, the International Association of Animal Behaviour Consultants, and the ANZ CBS Behaviour Chapter for Vets. The individuals who are endorsed by these organisations meet high standards of practice. They use humane training methodologies that put animal welfare first. They're committed to clear and honest communication with clients. They undertake appropriate continuing professional development on an annual basis to maintain and enhance their skills. And they have a clear understanding of their area of expertise and seek qualified professional advice or referral as needed. So currently on our CANS accreditation scheme, we have 28 accredited professionals who have met these high standards through careful assessments and ongoing requirements. This ensures that you, as a guardian, receive the best support for you and your animal. If you need assistance with a specific issue, take a look at our accreditation web pages to find a professional who can assist you, whether in your area or through a virtual consultation. Before we get started on tonight's webinar, just a few housekeeping notes. If you see captions and don't want them there, you can turn them off by clicking on them. The chat is on at the moment. It will be turned off shortly so our speakers can present without any interruptions, but the question and answer feature will stay open. In the question and answer section, you can write in your questions and give thumbs up to any questions you're most interested in getting answered to. The top voted questions will be presented to our speakers at the end of their talk. We have a fantastic talk lined up for you tonight, and we're lucky to have not one but two presenters for this webinar. We have behaviour consultants Lisa Sturm and Adele Curran. The title of tonight's presentation is Understanding Canine Instincts and Utilising Enrichment to Resolve Behaviour Challenges in Pet and Shelter Dogs. Lisa Sturm is a certified dog behaviour consultant with the IAABC and currently serves as Vice President for the Association of Professional Dog Trainers in New Zealand. She founded Sit Happens Dog Training in 2016 and later launched Kiwi Canine, an online store offering a completely non-aversive range of very select products with a great focus on enrichment. Lisa has a Bachelor of Science in Information Management and a Master of Science in International Management as well. Lisa also helps rescues in the Christchurch area with the dogs in their care on a behavioural level. Adele Curran is also a certified dog behaviour consultant with the IAABC. Her journey into animal behaviour began during her Bachelor of Science in Psychology studies at the University of Canterbury, where she explored additional disciplines such as biochemistry and animal behaviour. She has continued to explore canine psychology through the International School for Canine Psychology and also does specialised training through the Grisha Stewart Academy. Since 2016, Adele has been actively involved with the Christchurch Bull Breed Rescue. Adele joined Sit Happens in 2018 and he specializes in behavior modification for complex cases and core life skills development. She collaborates closely with local vets and other professionals. We are so thrilled you could both be with us tonight, Lisa and Adele, and I think it's now time to turn things over to you for this evening's presentation.
Nice. Thank you, Nick. Thanks for having us. We're really excited to be here. I'm just going to start sharing. That is the one. Can you see?
Yes.
Awesome. So we'll get started. We're really passionate about the topic we're talking about, and we're going to be highlighting instincts and emotions with the goal of enriching lives and enhancing bonds with our dogs to address behavior challenges. You've already introduced us, so I'll keep it short. Adele is our head trainer at It Happens, and she does in-person and online training for puppies, life skills, and more complex behavioral cases. She's also a duty manager at Crash Bull Rescue and has 2 long-term fosters, Sunshine and Heath, and a turtle. I'm Lisa, and I run It Happens in Kiwi Canine. I'm now mostly focusing on Kiwi Canine, which is our online store where we stock a selection of products that are all non-aversive, natural treats and chews, training gear, toys with replacement guarantees, and of course, fitting to this talk, lots of enrichment items in general. I live with my partner and 4 animals, 2 dogs and 2 cats, and often an additional foster kitten in Christchurch. Let me give you an overview of what we'll be talking about this evening. We'll start by understanding how natural canine instincts can be misinterpreted as misbehavior. We'll be using Panksepp's 7 systems of emotions to explore the emotional drivers behind dog behavior. And here we'll discuss how fear, anxiety, and frustration influence dog behavior. We can then look at practical strategies to activate positive emotional systems for better well-being. We will highlight the role of enrichment in meeting dogs' physical, emotional, and mental needs in order to address behavior issues. Throughout the presentation, we'll be showcasing Scout, a dog from Crash Bull Rescue, as an ongoing case study on how to utilize enrichment strategies to promote positive outcomes for dogs with challenging behavior. Some quick definitions, so we're all on the same page. The behaviors you can see on this slide may all be considered as inappropriate by our human standards, but they may also be completely natural for the dog. They can originate from various reasons, like different unmet emotional or behavioral needs, health reasons, and more. It also varies from person to person. Oh, we had a cat intervene here. It varies from person to person what is considered misbehavior. Common misbehaviors are all the typical topics pet homes and shelters often struggle with, and as behavior consultants get called for. I'll take them. Destroying things, escaping, barking, jumping, lead pulling, aggression towards people, animals, objects, and so on. Some being a little less serious than others, but all require intervention. I do want to take a moment to talk on breed-specific drives. Dogs have all been bred for specific tasks, which now may be seen as misbehavior in our suburban settings, even though they're just driven by natural instincts that are no longer being fulfilled. For example, herders may stalk, chase, nip. Hunter-ways or Spitz-type breeds may often vocalize what's considered excessively. Hounds like beagles may howl and roam to follow scents. Companion breeds may bark to alert and struggle with being alone. Retrieving breeds may grab and hold onto their lead when they're puppies or not want to let go of items. And terriers might, dig, pursue movement, and show aggression towards small animals. So traits like persistence in breeds such as terriers and collies were historically valuable for their specific jobs. However, these same traits can lead to dogs being labeled as stubborn or naughty in our society now. Often when dogs struggle with known cues or behaviors, it's not due to being stubborn, but it's rather because of distractions or pain, exhaustion, or fear. For instance, when a dog needs space while resting or eating, they may communicate that, but sometimes that's misinterpreted as dominance. Misunderstanding those signals can escalate into more serious behavior issues. Dogs are naturally social creatures who seek regular contact and connection. And this isn't about being demanding, but it's important for us to be clear and consistent in our communication so that we're not once reinforcing jumping up on us, for instance, and then other times we're annoyed with it. Understanding who dogs really are, combined with clear communication, stability, and guidance, is essential for living harmoniously with our dogs. Underlying medical issues can present as behavioral challenges, which is a great topic, obviously, for our vet behaviorists. And Jess presented on this 2 weeks ago. Is my pet a pain or in pain? If there's a suspicion for potential underlying medical issues, accredited animal trainers, instructors, and behavior consultants collaborate with and refer cases on to appropriate animal healthcare professionals, including vet behaviorists. That's especially the case if guardians notice a sudden change in behavior. Dogs often lack opportunities to participate in different natural behavior patterns autonomously and having the choice to engage with the environment. It's crucial that dogs get to feel safe and secure, get to use their brains to problem solve, and get to explore, sniff, chew, and experience new things.
I'm going to jump in here. I want to talk about restorative rest, as it is so important for health and behavior, and many dogs just aren't getting it. The lack of restorative rest can lead to or increase behavior concerns or misbehaviors, like increased jumping, mouthing, and difficulty focusing. In order to support restorative rest in homes, we should be providing quiet, undisturbed zones for our dogs. And in shelters, we can try to facilitate more quiet time with enrichment, which we'll talk on later, and try to offer time outside of noisy runs in quieter areas such as offices in order to help with both rest and hopefully with social needs as well. From here onwards, we're going to talk on animal emotions, how these tie into addressing challenging behaviors, and how we can support well-being bonds and behavior through enrichment for dogs both in homes and in shelters. Cool. So we know that what might seem like misbehavior now could actually be misunderstanding of their instincts, communications, and needs. To address these issues, we'll just be using Panksepp's 7 systems of emotions as a framework, as this approach helps us understand both negative and emotional systems in dogs. Here's a simpler breakdown of this. Dogs' emotions strongly influence their actions and reactions. So just like humans, if a dog is feeling stressed or fearful, they will act differently than when they're calm and happy. Negative emotions in dogs, such as fear or anger, can affect their behavior. For example, a dog that destroys things might just be acting out of fear or frustration or anxiety. And just as chronic negative emotions can lead to mental health issues in people, dogs experiencing prolonged negative emotions can face similar problems. So this is especially crucial to understand in shelters where dogs might be feeling chronically stressed. So what is the practical application of this? We want to recognize signs of distress or discomfort in dogs and understand what might be causing these feelings. Then we want to be using our enrichment strategies and providing activities and environments that meet those needs better. By focusing on a dog's emotional state and using enrichment strategies to support that, we can better address and resolve behavior challenges, turning what seems like misbehavior into an opportunity. While we're talking in detail about seeking care and play, we're not going to be talking on the lust system outside of this slide. It's not very relevant for us, but in brief, it involves pathways and hormones related to seeking reproductive partners, management of behavior and of the environment, and occupying them with enrichment during those times may be helpful in reducing potential challenges. Cool. So to better understand and support the positive emotional systems through enrichment, it's helpful to also consider the negative ones. Fear in dogs can trigger various behaviors that may be misinterpreted as a misbehavior. We have our fight response, which can involve aggression or growling to increase distance when a dog feels threatened, and escape or other options seem unavailable to them. The flight response, where we see dogs retreating and avoiding perceived threats, such as pulling away from an angry handler or refusing to approach something when they're on a lead. The freeze response, so stopping movement entirely, like refusing to walk or even get out of the car. And fawn and fidget responses are more subtle signs. We can see it with things like jumping, looking at faces, rolling on their back, but with their tail tucked, or focusing suddenly on other tasks, which can indicate fear or being overwhelmed. These behaviors driven by fear are often mistakenly attributed as misbehaviors when they're actually coping mechanisms. Grief, also known as the separation distress system, happens during social loss, including being left alone, and is chronic in shelter environments. Misbehaviors involved here might be vocalizations, destruction when alone, almost over-the-top intense excitement to us when we're reuniting. So that might be jumping, mouthing sorts of behaviors. These behaviors stem from the dog's distress and need for social contact. So they're being driven by genuine emotional needs and anxiety, not misbehavior. The result of the rage system, there will not be a person who works in shelters who hasn't seen this, is it can cause an increased likelihood of aggressive behavior. This is often a result of frustration when dogs can't engage that seeking system, which we'll talk on later. And it leads to irritation, stress, annoyance, helplessness, emotional distress. This can include redirected aggression towards other people, animals, or even physical barriers. It is misunderstood as misbehavior, as these actions are driven by unmet needs and blocked expectations. Big examples of this that we see again, and that we'll talk on a little bit as we're talking through enrichment, are vocalizations, lunging on lead, and lead and barrier biting. For our shelter workers, you know more than anyone what chronic frustration and chronic grief can look like and feel like. So with shelter dogs, let me quickly introduce you to Scout, who I'll be showing throughout the presentation regarding the enrichment strategies we can put in place in order to improve behavior outcomes for dogs with challenging behaviors. He is a current long-termer at Christchurch Bull Breed Rescue, largely because of the reasons listed here, and he's also quite large. Unfortunately, he had little to no understanding of behaviors that would allow us to better support him, and his intense behavior in his run and outside of his run limits the number of people who could engage with him. This, of course, only made things worse for him, with the amount of connection and engagement with people being limited even further than the average dog. So throughout this presentation, we will be popping back in with examples of Scout doing the activities that we're talking about, as well as where he's at now. Cool. Now that that's done, let's start talking about enrichment. We can use enrichment in practical ways to counteract those negative emotional systems while promoting positive ones in our daily lives. So what is enrichment? I'll start by reading this quote. Enrichment seeks to enhance the quality of animal care by increasing behavioral diversity, reducing the frequency of abnormal behaviors, increasing the range and number of normal behavior patterns, increasing positive utilization of the environment, and increasing the ability of the animal to cope with challenges in a more normal way. So novel diverse enrichment can improve an animal's ability to deal with stress and respond to challenges. It can help with reducing stress in life and decrease alerting behaviors. This means that we can use enrichment to improve their behavior outcomes while we're facilitating their rehearsal of healthier behaviors. For us, we want to help dogs reduce boredom, we want to reduce stress, and we want to promote overall happiness. So we need to facilitate activities and environmental modifications that are designed to enhance a dog's physical and emotional well-being. We want to aim to stimulate a dog's senses, we want to provide them with mental challenges, and we want them to fulfill their natural instincts. It's important to give dogs as many options as possible to make their own decisions safely, with setups that encourage healthy behaviors. So, is this all enrichment means? Because food toys is usually all we think about when we hear this term. When discussing enrichment for dogs, it's important to recognize that it goes well beyond just food toys. While they are beneficial, true enrichment involves a variety of activities that stimulate dogs' minds, bodies, and social needs in more diverse ways. Cool. Positive emotional systems and enrichment strategies. The seeking system, also known as the reward system, it drives curiosity, promotes learning, and increases motivation. Engaging the seeking system enhances well-being and helps resolve behavior challenges. Dysfunction or restrictions in the system can lead to negative emotions and activate rage, fear, and grief, so those things we're wanting to avoid, and can cause frustration that leads to more behavior issues. The key takeaway is that incorporating the seeking system into the enrichment strategies we're talking about is crucial for addressing behavior challenges and improving the overall well-being and behavior of pet and shelter dogs. In order to activate the seeking system, we can do many things. Independently driven food-based activities is only one great way to enable activation. With different enrichment strategies, we can see an increase in relaxation, decrease in stress, and decrease in vigilance. So let's have a look at how we can facilitate the senses.
So the first sense that we're talking about is scent, which is probably one of our favorite senses. Let's look at some practical applications while I talk more on this. Scent work is teaching a dog to follow a scent, which is commonly done with either tracking a human or a toy or a combination, but can also be done for just a certain scent, like seen in conservation or drug dogs. Scent work can be great for all dogs, but is even more important for dogs who have been bred to track things like hounds and other hunting breeds. Getting on the job of following a scent is a great way to fulfill the historical role of tracking in an interactive, cooperative way, rather than them wandering off to fulfill that need themselves. As we watch Mousy track the clam, let's talk about why this is such a beneficial exercise for her. Dogs have an extraordinary sense of smell, which they use as their primary means of exploring and understanding their environment. Engaging their sense of smell provides crucial mental stimulation. It taps into their natural instincts and drives and makes the activity more fulfilling. Scent can also trigger powerful memories and emotions. Think of how a familiar smell of food might evoke memories of a family member and the associated emotions for us. Same for dogs. Scents can create strong emotional connections. Using scent-based activities not only leverages dogs' natural abilities, but it also enriches their lives by providing deep mental and emotional stimulation. So you see, I've hidden the clam in the tree earlier, and Mousy's been looking for quite a while now. She's still looking. She's kind of honing in because you can see she's kind of figured out that it's up high. So her nose is going up. Obviously, when we start hiding scents like this, we're not starting up high and we're not hiding it this difficult. We start nice and easy, but Mousy knows what she's doing and she's found it just there. And the cool thing with the clam is that she can actually use it to reward herself. So I don't need to get involved at all. So she's playing around a little bit with it, but there's actually treats inside. And so she knows that she can open it up and get the treats out herself. We'll just watch her do that. Clever, there we are. And so really nice mental stimulation for her, especially on like a day where you might not get out for a walk. And just a very quick video of Hank here doing tracking as well. He's finding his toy, and it's just to show that we don't have to use food to reward our dogs. We can also just reward them with a game of tug with the toy they've tracked or found. Here we are. And so that's an easy way as well. And then we have nose work, like demonstrated here by Forte. Thanks, Lavinia, for sharing the video. Forte is finding a cedar wood hide in the front of the car there. You see it hidden there and then gets rewarded. So it's just indicating that's where the cedar wood hide is. Food scatters. This can be done with both normal meals or treats, on walks or in contained environments. It can be used to reduce arousal or as a reward delivery strategy. We can do food scatters on different surfaces, with the best probably being grass, especially higher grass, and we call it like nature's snuffle mat. It's a particularly helpful strategy when assisting dogs who struggle with regulation and when working around stressors. And it's helpful to direct attention and paws on the ground when teaching dogs not to jump on people, including obviously in shelters where dogs may jump at the kennel door or volunteers when they enter. Then there's novel scents. We can pick up a piece of wood or leaves from a park create scent trails with them, or hide scents in boxes to investigate. We can gather materials or items from other animals like dogs, cats, rodents, sheep, and so on, and let our dogs experience their scents. It's a helpful strategy for pet or shelter dogs alike, depending on how much access they have to novel scents naturally. However, it's important that a dog needs to be able to remove themselves from scent exposure. So if we observe a dog avoiding a scent, we need to make sure we remove it.
On that note, breaking down exposure to other animals into smaller components, we can start with scent swapping. So prior to seeing the other animal, if we're trying to work on integration, we can swap their scents, kind of take away that novelty a little bit in order to make those interactions a bit easier. I've done that with a few of my cases, and it has proven really successful. So something to try.
Letting dogs simply watch and listen. We want to let our dogs explore novel objects visually and physically. The objects may move or make a sound when the dog engages with them. Dogs, of course, enjoy observing different locations. So just watch and hear the world go by, like go on car rides and, of course, going for walks. We can also utilize eye tracking exercises, which can interrupt activity in the negative emotional systems that Adele explained earlier. For instance, simply have a dog follow a treat or a toy with their eyes. Tactile stimulation engages the dog's sense of touch and curiosity through varied textures and movements, such as, stones, bark, wobble boards, or platforms. And if possible, we want to add different dog-safe foods to increase variety. So vegetables, for example, pumpkin, fruits, for example, blueberries, eggs can be raw or cooked with or without shell. Novel meats could be possum, wallaby, kangaroo, and so on. Enrichment toys, they can be engaged with independently, but also interactively, which is especially nice initially for teaching and for bonding as well. Let's have a look at the differences between stationary toys and toys that require more movement. On the move toys are great for mornings or for times where the dog has excess energy. So they can be helpful. They can also be helpful with coordination and confidence. And for instance, at Christchurch Bull Breed Rescue, the dogs get things like wobblers for breakfast time to burn off some morning energy. Stationary toys are great for times where the dog needs to settle down or where we want to do training around stationing on a mat or settling. We had the question come up at Jess's talk a couple of weeks ago, how to keep the dog calm when on crate rest. So these kinds of toys here, especially when frozen, can be super helpful for that. Unless the dog is physically unable to engage with toys on the move, a combination of both types of enrichment toys can help meet a dog's diverse needs and would be what's recommended.
So here's just a video example of stationary enrichment strategy in a shelter environment. So this is for getting off his cone, and I would be getting on his gear as well. If you do use these strategies, do ensure that you're not working with a resource guarder, so have an assessment first. Scout here would sit on your lap with a bone, given a chance.
We've already discovered that engaging with toys is mentally enriching and can stimulate more variety of natural behavior patterns. Enrichment toys engage and stimulate and come in differing levels of difficulty. They can be used with treats or just with the dog's usual meal, because we do need to be careful that we're not overfeeding, of course. We can use dry food, wet food, a combination. We can use chews. There's also chew holders. Some toys are freezer friendly as well, which can increase the duration your dog engages with the toy. The category of food puzzles specifically has added mental effort, concentration, and cognitive demand. While enrichment toys generally help with satisfying natural instincts like chewing, licking, or foraging, food puzzles have more complex mechanisms that require problem-solving skills and provide cognitive stimulation. They require the dogs to figure out how to access the treat or solve the task. But we always need to make sure that our dog doesn't get overwhelmed. So we need to pick a difficulty level that the dog is successful with so that they're not getting frustrated. You can DIY things at home as well. We've got a wee article on our Kiwi Canine blog post if you'd like to enrich your dog without spending much money. Because harder puzzles often involve a series of steps or mechanisms, they help keep dogs mentally sharp and engaged. They encourage problem solving and critical thinking. Regular use of puzzle toys can help reduce destructive behaviors because we're providing our dogs with a constructive outlet for their mental energy. However, to make sure that we use these toys correctly, I'd like to share some tips. So firstly, we want to start with simpler puzzles and gradually increase the complexity as our dogs become more comfortable with solving the puzzle. We want to introduce our dog properly to the puzzle and keep it positive and help them and supervise them and ensure that they use the puzzle correctly and safely. If a dog does become frustrated with the puzzle, because we're right there, we can intervene, we can ensure to make it easier and provide guidance. If we're offering a range of enrichment options, we can help our dogs to stay engaged with the activities as well.
So interactive learning is complementary to enrichment. It is another critical aspect of well-being. You can combine environmental enrichment with training for the most positive impacts when it comes to addressing challenging behavior. This can help dogs engage safely with their world, develop adaptive behaviors, navigate challenges, and enjoy learning. So we can be having fun together. The goal is to increase skills, freedom, and positive experiences while promoting control and choice in their environment. So after initial enrichment interventions, here's Scout navigating heavy traffic noise and a dog barking at him from the other side of the road, which would have previously caused huge issues. In shelters and in homes, we can create setups to facilitate free exploration with enrichment. This here is inspired by Sarah Fisher's ACE free work setups. I highly recommend you look into them if you're interested. Free work is all about providing an environment for dogs to move and explore at their own pace. And it's particularly helpful when we are limited by space. It includes various items for them to investigate, and just watching them can let us know what they're really into and what they'd rather avoid. It can help develop confidence and optimism, as well as allow us to quietly observe them, all while providing a range of enriching activities for them to choose from. So this is the temporary setup pulled together from things available at Christchurch Bull Breed Rescue, which had been donated over time, involving many of the things that we've just discussed, except for training. So we could also add cardboard boxes or anything else laying around. Training and speed is not the goal with these setups, but rather increasing mindful exploration and engagement through choice. At most, we might give them some encouragement or reassurance if they're feeling overwhelmed or unsure and need some social support for confidence.
One of the best things we can do for our dogs is to take them into nature. Walking freely promotes health and fitness through movement and exploration. It also engages the senses and gives an outlet for natural behaviors. Moving together freely also strengthens the bond between us humans and our dogs through shared experiences. Frequent exposure to different environments, allowing for a variety of stimulating experiences, can help dogs learn to adapt and manage stress in the future. If for whatever reason we can't take our dogs to explore freely out and about, we can also utilize safe and secure areas for off-leash exploration. Christchurch is lucky to have the Canine Neuropark that Mousy is so kindly showing to us here. It provides a controlled setting for those who can't be off-leash in other areas, be that because of health or behavior challenge or any other reasons. A space like this helps dogs gain new experiences and reduce uncertainty. Plus, of course, there are plenty of other benefits that you can discover on the Neuropark website. In other regions of New Zealand, there are other options regarding rentable dog exercise spaces that you can look up online. The one thing that we'd really like everyone to consider tonight is that if you can only invest time and resources into one thing, then let it be learning how to manage a long line. Long lines provide freedom, much more so than short leads, obviously, but while still providing safety. They let the dog explore freely and engage in natural behaviors without risking them running off or getting in trouble away from us. They are also a great tool for practicing recall if future off lead times may be an option for your dog. We do know that enrichment is important, but it should complement interactive engagement. So let's activate the care system.
So the care system is all about brain pathways that help with social bonding, nurture, and parental care. We can activate the care system by offering social support and nurturing to our dogs, and this can interrupt activity and negative emotional systems, especially grief, which can happen when dogs have been or feel isolated. So having dedicated time to connect with your dog and having a strong and secure bond makes activating all of these positive emotions a huge amount easier. Secure bonds with your dog will allow you to better connect, communicate, and elicit positive emotions from them. They are supportive. So we want to be responsive, not reactive to their communication and needs. We want to set clear, appropriate expectations according to their current age or stage of learning, and teach them how to meet those expectations through training and other learning opportunities. This approach sets clear boundaries with guidance. It includes two-way communication where we are not only asking our dogs of things, but also actively trying to listen and understand what they're trying to say. So we're having a conversation. There are loads of benefits in secure attachment, and it is so helpful regarding enrichment. It promotes emotional regulation, restorative rest, cognitive engagement, exploration, and a base of safety for dogs to explore the world from, which makes implementing enrichment strategies and opportunities so much easier. It's also really helpful for fearful dogs to learn that they can rely on their caregivers for support rather than trying to deal with potential threats on their own. Our dogs returning to us when they're unsure is a much safer behavior than trying to chase away something they think is a threat. It also supports a dog's ability to handle stress and social situations, allowing us to better engage their care-seeking and play systems through enrichment. We want to avoid a lack of responsiveness to our dog's communications and needs, as this can lead to harmful coping mechanisms, which then often present themselves as behaviour issues. Dog-centered activities also improve our well-being. So things like going for walks and cuddling with our dogs promotes relaxation, emotional stability, attention, and creativity in humans. So engaging our dogs in activities that enrich their lives absolutely can enrich our lives too. So some dogs might want to receive physical affection, like Scout here, but don't know how to ask for it safely, whether it's because they never learned or because they're so stressed that they're slipping into challenging behavior patterns. He tended to jump and mouth at me when he wanted affection, but was too excited for it. So we practiced leg weaves and peekaboos as a game that he enjoyed. So now he'll back up to sit between or on my feet to request cuddle time, or if I sit down somewhere. We incorporate this into our time outside of the shelter regularly, where we're watching the world go by while promoting care system activation. So the social connection in and of itself is enriching for Scout, and he can stay better regulated with more things going on if he's having this contact, so getting more enriching experiences out in the world. Care and bonding also includes social bonding opportunities between dogs and significantly improve their well-being and behavior, leading to greater relaxation and reduced stress, even more than food toys. So at Christchurch Bullbreed Rescue, implementing safe group walks has been really effective in improving both well-being and adoption prospects over the past few years, and it is enriching for the dogs. However, learning how to coexist with other dogs can be a process for dogs who want to be social but don't know how to. Parallel walks. These are a great way to start building social time into a dog's life as enrichment, which is great for building up their social experiences for shelter dogs who aren't able to socialize frequently, but also in pet dogs who haven't learned appropriate social skills. This is a parallel walk here. We started at a bigger distance with a fence between for extra safety during initial assessment with Scout and Dimples. Towards the end, we were in a bit of a rush, so they weren't able to explore as much as we had been earlier. But for Scout, this was a huge deal, as prior he'd just been barking and lunging at any dog from any distance. So this is what we were working up to. And more dogs, more often. We kept this up until eventually he started being able to have some free time with appropriate social matches. And he is so much happier after getting these experiences. He's not up to the stage of playing, but you can see him here in the neuropark exploring around, getting some physical affection and some social time with other dogs. Cool. Moving on. The play system. This involves physical and social play, supports overall well-being, and is crucial for developing social skills, empathy, and emotional regulation. Play includes behaviors like wrestling, chasing, pouncing. So we've just covered social bonding between dogs to activate the care system, but social interactions with other dogs involving play can also be incredibly rewarding and enriching for our dogs. We also have interactions with people, as well as independent play. Here's just a short video on 2 shy pups I had been working with recently. The wee brown puppy in particular was showing really strong signs of dog aversion, including fear-based aggression signaling. With a very mindful approach, she now has some great select friends and is making her way up in the world regarding her confidence. So she's well on track. You can see that little shake off from Reg, little play bow.
And here's Mousy playing with her friend Ricky. It's a good example of what social skills and rules developed and communicated through play can look like. She desperately wants to play with Ricky, but Ricky is not so sure that he wants to play with her. And so Mousy's trying to figure out how to make him. And now she's like, here, take my toy, take it. And then he joins in because he didn't really just want to play without a toy in between them. So this was her way of figuring out how to make him play, which is awesome. Yeah, I'll finish there. We'll now move on to how we can engage the play system. Play can increase attentiveness and responsiveness to cues. Interactive play enhances the human-dog relationship and it boosts communication. We've already covered scent games, training, and puzzles. We had the free work set up from the rescue, but we can also play hide and seek, or we can play the family board game with our dogs. And of course, the all-time favorite, we can play tug of war. Remember that you can let your dog win. Allowing dogs to win does not negatively impact your relationship or influence the development of dominance for your dog. For dogs with retrieving drives, games like tossing a toy into a bush and letting them find and bring it back can be very rewarding. We like to teach our dogs to stay so that they're not chasing right after it and might be harming their body a little bit with that. Retrievers often enjoy holding things in their mouths, which can sometimes be seen as misbehavior, like chewing on a lead. But by providing them with appropriate items for them to hold instead, will help that. So that's the idea. Let's have a quick look at some other drive-specific enrichment. As mentioned when talking about breed-specific drives, herders may be labeled as misbehaving when they stalk, chase, or nap. We want to give them a better outlet for their instinctual needs so they don't try to fulfill their needs in their own and inappropriate ways, such as chasing bikes or hurting children. We can do work with flirt poles to work on stalking behaviors. Tribe ball and sheep ball are interactive training games specifically designed for herding drives. We can also provide them with toys to engage this drive, which you'll see in the next 2 videos. So here we've got Piper herding her ball around. She's 8 weeks old here. She's not been trained to do this. It's simply an innate drive. If she didn't have an appropriate outlet to do this, she may direct that drive towards what we'd consider misbehavior. And here we've got Maisie with her mega egg. The mega egg is designed that you can push it around, but you can't quite pick it up, so she can keep driving it around, which is fun too. Lots of dogs love a good chase and grab, which is especially true for our terrier type dogs. If they don't have an outlet to do this or haven't been taught ways that they can do this safely, we start to see dogs chasing and grabbing onto things that aren't appropriate without any self-control. So it's really helpful to teach rules and structure around this drive, which we can do through interactive play. For the chase and grab drive, we can use flirt poles, normal tag toys, or let's have a look at the chaser toy. As you can see here, it's fun that we can all easily provide, so you don't need to be a trainer. We're getting some chasing here, and we're getting some grabbing as well there. Nice. So it's a really easy way of satisfying that drive. Independent play builds confidence and independence. Balls or toys that roll or move unpredictably stimulate your dog's curiosity and they encourage chasing. They are the ones that can be pushed but not picked up, like we saw before with Piper and Maisie. But they're also ones with varied auditory experiences. They can capture a dog's attention and stimulate their natural prey drive. And then there's toys that respond in a way to biting or squeezing that provide immediate feedback, which lots of dogs enjoy and love to engage with independently as well. And finally, we have toys that can be dissected, which is super satisfying for dogs that like to deconstruct. So on the right here, we have the Magic De-Stuffer, which is a ball with fabric strips inside that can be tossed around and de-stuffed. And on the left, we have a burrow toy, a log with chipmunks inside. The dogs can pull the chipmunks out and then we can stuff them back in for them. Or they can, of course, also just play with the toys by themselves, as long as they don't chew them all to bits straight away. Many dogs enjoy digging. Here we've got Max, who's incorporating the snoop into his fun. It's especially, again, our terrier type of dogs that like digging. It can be helpful to provide them with legal digging opportunities and outlets, both at home and, if possible, also off the property, like at the beach. You can also start by getting them by burying toys in their sand pit for them so that they can find treats inside or whatever, to teach them to stick to one place, is the idea. Play builds life skills. It can help with teaching dogs to refrain from snatching, or we can teach them to drop objects on cue, and it can strengthen recall. Shelter dogs can learn safe, engaging behavior, improving their chances for adoption. Play reduces social tension. It fosters bonding. It enhances overall well-being, and it increases motivation, learning, physical activity, and positive mental stimulation. So play is great. Sometimes it can be hard to decide what's the right toy for your dog. I've put a list together here, like what's your dog's play style, how rough is your dog with toys, what type of toy has your dog historically enjoyed and what was ignored, what categories of toys does your dog already have. So if you're looking at finding a toy, I'd be happy to consult you and you'd be wanting to answer those questions. But also bear in mind that you don't need to buy loads of new toys all the time, because you can rotate toys in and out to provide novelty.
So I do just want to take a moment to talk about dogs with health conditions and restrictions. So as you can likely tell, there's lots of these things you can do with your dogs, even if they're unable to do what they might have used to be able to do earlier in their life. We can still support their behavior and well-being through modified enrichment and routines. So for Piglet here in this photo, towards the end of his life, he had completely lost his hearing, he had limited eyesight, and his ability to walk comfortably continued to decrease until it was just a few minutes at a time. Keeping in mind prior, we used to go for weekend hikes. We continued to enrich his life at this stage with things he still enjoyed. So driving to familiar favorite spots and sitting together rather than walking, using a stroller to get to and from walks at the river, investigating things brought home from nature, lounging in the sun or in a comfy bed, using his nose to detect birds and hedgehogs, food-based enrichment toys, and plenty of connection and affection time with family members and known dogs. So providing increased thoughtful enrichment for dogs with limitations, whatever they are, that are impacting their ability to get out there, can be a wonderful way to support them through challenging times. Environmental modifications can also be really helpful to facilitate a dog's ability to engage in healthy behaviours and enrichment. So this might be things in our shelters, like visual barriers in front of kennels, or volunteers occupying dogs when other dogs are entering and exiting, barriers at home and in shelters to create space with visitors. Window film is another great tool on spaces that lead out onto the street or towards the neighbours with a lot of activity going on over there, whatever could be triggering for your dog. Music, so masking sounds. A study showed that soft rock and reggae caused physiological changes indicative of reduced stress in shelter dogs. So use that as you will. And preferred resting areas. So you can see the cold flooring in this photo here. That was actually a huge game changer for this dog who was struggling with separation anxiety. And part of that was actually changing his ability to rest on different kinds of surfaces. You can also adjust routines, so establish predictable routines and have clear signals for different activities. Try to keep things low, so use relaxed tones to signal when it is quiet time. It's really helpful also to transition dogs from high energy to low energy activities, such as a walk finishing up with some calm interaction and a frozen Kong, which is often what we do at Christchurch Bull Breed Rescue. Additionally, small adjustments like calm interactions at the start of the day can help manage shelter dogs' excitement when people are approaching their runs, because it's not always indicative of something exciting happening. Cool. So for Scout, we had lots of positive outcomes. He is an ongoing case, but things are much more enjoyable for everyone. Pretty much across the board, things are going so much better, and it would not have been possible without fulfilling his needs and giving him multiple outlets for enrichment that went far beyond food-based toys. Cool. In conclusion, to enhance your dog's well-being, integrate daily care experiences that include love, affection, and guidance. Increase their freedom, stimulate their senses, encourage play, and foster curiosity. Activities like off-lead or long-lead walks, tracking objects, experiencing new scents, interacting with others, all of these things support positive emotional states and behavior outcomes. So by fulfilling these needs, you're going to strengthen your bond with your dog, improve their behavior, and improve their overall welfare.
Nice. I'll quickly flick through the references. Anyone interested in reading up more can pause the recording once it's on YouTube and have a more detailed look at the list. Now, we thank you for sharing your time with us tonight. Until end of September, you can use the code SCOUT10 for 10% discount code, 10% discount on Kiwi Canine. And also, you can email us at SitHappens, quoting that code to book a free online chat with Adele, a 10-minute chat. Before we get to the questions, we wanted to mention that in tomorrow's email from Cairns, I think Nick is going to send it out, everyone that was signed up for this talk will receive these links here, which are useful for pet homes and shelters. So we've got the sensory gardens for dogs and canine enrichment, but we also have shelter-specific resources. Right, we're ready for your upvoted questions.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Lisa and Adele. That was really engaging, and we'll transition to the questions and answers. I'm so glad you told us at the end how Scout is doing. I was sitting here waiting, and what happened? So
he's going strong. He's getting better and better.
Oh, good. While we're waiting for people to ask some questions, I just wondered, could you give some more practical examples of how you might promote secure bonding and getting your dog to look to you when you're out and about versus the dog reacting to other things?
Yeah, cool. So one of the first things I really look at in regards to teaching dogs that they can check in with me for support, and so really strengthening that bond, is I will facilitate an environment where they will choose to look at me of their own accord. So in Scout's case, I would actually work with him in a large environment where he didn't have to engage with me, but he's secure. So either on a long lead or off the leash if I was in a fenced area. And any moment he turned and looked towards me, I made a big deal out of it. So I would, yeah, good job, buddy. And I'd actually move backwards. So he was moving into me, and I'd reward him for it. And then I would grab a treat and I'd toss it away. So he'd go and collect the treat. And then the next time he did it, it would happen again. And so over time, what happened, which was really helpful, is that he would look to me and run to me very quickly, or if he felt the end of the lead, he would turn and look to me. And I actually started to also incorporate recall into that. So if I knew he's finishing that treat, he's going to be running straight back. As soon as he finished his treat, I could say, "Scout," and he'd be running towards me. And now if I need it, if he needs an extra prompt to try and help him out of a difficult or challenging sort of situation, I can use his name, and it's just, his head just whips right around and is moving towards me. So definitely providing that support, but any opportunity you get for engagement, make it a big deal, make it worth it. And for some dogs, cuddles are going to be amazing for them, but I always like to add in a little bit of pizzazz, whether it's a treat or a toy or something of the like.
Right, yes. Okay, we've got some questions coming in. Sharon is asking, how do you start on scent work?
Nice. So with scent work, you pick a scent that you're going to be working with. So Adele, for instance, with her dogs works with ginger. Cedarwood is a common one. Some people, you can use anything, right? Like people teach truffle scenting. You can use anything really, and you start to associate that scent with positivity. So you start associating the scent with treats and treats and treats. And then you gradually start putting the scent somewhere with some treats with it, for instance. And so the dog goes to the scent and the treats, and then you can add some treats in. And they start associating the exercise with, okay, when I'm looking for this, this is the scent that I'm looking for. And then gradually you reduce the amounts of treats that you're putting with it, and you start rewarding just once they have indicated, don't need to indicate much, they just need to find the scent initially. And then you can start making it harder and harder. We actually are about to publish a wee starter guide on that for specific topic on Kiwi Canine. So yeah, if you're a bit more interested, have a look at that.
Fantastic. All right. So Joe is asking, what can we do to encourage old-fashioned shelters to understand what you've been discussing? So currently some use these behaviours as an excuse to euthanize. So, and she says she's referring to council pounds. So yeah.
I guess this is a really challenging one for me. Being in Christchurch, we actually have a really great pound system down here. Like we've got a really good relationship with them, so they release a lot of dogs to us. We have very few dogs that are euthanized down here. I would say that something that we have to be mindful of is that a lot of dogs in these situations are, of course, experiencing these huge emotions and displaying challenging behaviors because of it. And there is obviously the safety aspect of, can we get adopters to meet a dog who is so chronically stressed out that something negative might happen? That doesn't mean that changes shouldn't be put in place regarding these sorts of things. So increased management, increased time with people, all of these things, but we need those resources there too, right? So it is that little bit of a balancing act. But if people who are working with dogs, and these are the hard yards, right, working in shelters, like people doing things like this, if we are able to better support them with resources to understand dogs in order to support dogs, that is going to make things a lot easier over time. And with any behavior change, regardless of whether we're talking about any species, coming at it with compassion, understanding that nobody is trying to do the wrong thing. Everyone's trying to do their best, and really just providing that kind of compassionate support in order to promote long-term change is where I would be looking at with that.
And I guess additionally to that, it's all about education, right? It's exactly what you guys are providing here right now. It's giving a platform for people to learn. And the more we're learning, the better we can do. And so that's probably one of the main things. And that's where the resources come in that we've shared on that last slide. There's lots of free shelter resources available. And the more people are learning, the more we can educate, the better they will do.
Yeah. So I highly recommend Simplifying Shelter Behaviour as a free resource that's online.
Yeah, we'll have all of that in that email.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Andrea says, how would you recommend stopping a dog barking when excited or frustrated? We have a rescue hunt away, most likely ex-farm, and he's very, very well-trained dog. Very intelligent, easy to train, but we can't get him to stop barking when he's excited, pre-walk typically, and or when he meets people and their dogs went out walking. He has picked up most other commands ASAP, just not being quiet on command.
Yeah. Okay, so I kind of want to come at this from two spaces. The first side is that you have a hunt away. And I'm not saying that we can't help to improve that barking, but we have to understand that this is, especially if this is a working, like this is a farm, a hunt away, like which all huntaways are, right? Barking is going to be part of their behavior repertoire, and we can't just like eliminate that. We can look at trying to facilitate activities for them that they can't do while barking at the same time. So you can see with the video of Scout and his run with the licky mat, he is also could be a barker, quite frustrated, right? Hi, and we're going for a walk. So it sounds very similar, jealous, all jazzed up, ready to go. I'm like, I need that mouth doing something that isn't screaming at me, please. So licky mats can be really helpful for that. Holding things, so you might try to see if we can get some holding behavior. That's been really helpful as well for dogs that get really pumped up, is if we can teach them to put something in their mouth and crunch on it instead of barking. That's a really great strategy too. You guys might see some dogs sometimes where you come home. My own dog does this. You come home, they run around, they find a toy and they bring it to you. Where when they were younger, they might have jumped and barked and grabbed and all those things. So teaching an alternative behavior would be what I was looking at, and just keeping your expectations realistic too.
And I guess additionally, it's figuring out what triggers the barking and see if we can work on those triggers, meaning different things for the dog.
Yeah. Okay. So I can guess what the answer here is going to be too, but we'll take this last question as well. I have a 5-month-old pup golden retriever cross who is extremely exuberant when I get home, jumping up, nipping at me. Would the scatter food activity help in this instance, or is it just likely to be a development situation? She's at home with my 13-year-old lab while I'm at work. They have lots of play area, living rurally, lots of toys.
Yeah. So the food scatters can definitely help with keeping them on the ground during that time. The very excitable reunion behavior, it isn't abnormal at all for a young animal, right? So it's very much, I would say, within the normal behavior repertoire. We do want to make sure that we're not looking at a dog who's feeling a bit of stress when they're alone. So if you're all concerned that that behavior, that jumping and kind of hyper excitability is because of potential stress, in any cases where I'm a little bit unsure, and I don't know your case, so you're gonna have to figure this one out, I will set up a camera and I'll go, what is my dog doing when I'm not there? Are they getting stressed? But otherwise, when I come in, I like to food scatter away from the door. I do greet my dogs when I come in, so I don't ignore them completely. I let them know, hey guys, I'm right here. I'll give them a quiet little cuddle as I'm walking past. I'll put my stuff away, and then I'll spend some nice, some reunion time with them. But keep things calm, food scatter away from the door.
Right. Thank you. All right, and the mega egg and the clam available from Kiwi Canine?
Of course. Yes.
Excellent. Okay.
The clam actually also comes as a tug toy as well. So it's got like a bungee tug attached, which I like actually using with Mousy because it makes her more likely to want to return it to me, because then we tug it as well. So she opens it and then we can play tug with it after.
Oh, fantastic. Love it. Okay, well, that's the questions for tonight. So thank you so much, Lisa and Adele. I think we've covered quite a bit. Yeah, no. And if you would like to reach out to Lisa and Adele for any more information or take advantage of their special September offer, then go to sithappens.co.nz. And for any other questions you may have, yeah, just contact them direct. I think it's good. If there's more specific cases about your dog. And yeah, like they said, you can get a 10-minute consult, I believe. Is that right, Lisa and Adele? It's a 10-minute free consult.
That's right, yeah.
Yeah, excellent. Yeah. Okay, so the recording of tonight's webinar will be accessible for 14 days starting tomorrow. We will send you an email, and included in that will be a link to the different Facebook pages that will benefit shelters. What else is in those Facebook those links, Lisa and Adele? Is it all shelter stuff, or?
No, so on the left, there's just the sensory gardens for dogs. So that's a really cool, like, I have no affiliation with these links from
They
Facebook.
can't see them anymore.
Oh, right. All right. Sorry. I have no affiliation with them. So one is sensory gardens for dogs. So it's all about making your yard, pretty much your garden space, really enriching for your dog. It's not like based around food. It's based around changing the environment up and things. Absolutely brilliant, awesome group. The other one is Canine Enrichment by Shay Kelly. So she's like an enrichment specialist. Highly recommend that. Great group and community to join and check those things out. The other resources I've added are based for shelter dogs. So British Steward Academy has a shelter or rescue organization scholarship bundle. So there's going to be a link to that. And Simplifying Shelter Behaviour with Tom Candy, the podcast and the Facebook group, as well as the Shelter Playgroup Alliance page, which goes around, like, pretty much has loads of information on how to facilitate playgroups and rescue and shelter environments.
Fantastic, good. Okay, our next webinar in the Misbehaviour or Misunderstood series will be in 2 weeks on Wednesday, the 11th of September at 7 p.m. We'll have Dr. Lucy Scott presenting a talk titled Cracking the Code, Understanding Animal Emotions and Body Language. If you enjoyed tonight's session and would like to support our future webinars, please consider donating through our Racely fundraising page. The link can be found in the email containing the Zoom link for this webinar. So thanks again, Lisa and Adele. Thanks everyone here for joining us tonight. I see there's lots of thanks in the chat, so that's lovely. And we can't wait to see you all at our next webinar. Have a great night.